Good morning and welcome to the News on New Day. We come to you live from the John Hammond Street at Kanda here in Accra. My name is Judith Brown. In the headlines this morning. Government allocates $40 million to farmers affected by Akosombo and Pong Dam spillage as Lower Volta Basin flooding threatened food security. We'll bring you details as the Ghana Bar Association urges President Akufo-Addo to uphold his commitment to preventing corruption within his administration, citing contradicting corruption reports. Also, Tema residents threatening to sue city authorities over alleged sale of the children's park to private developer for a casino. And on the international front, with almost all votes counted in Liberia's election, President George Weah and main rival Joseph Boakai are set for a runoff. The details of these stories and more in the next 10 or 20 minutes. Please do stay tuned. Well, in our first story, farmers affected by the Akosombo and Pong Dam spillage are to benefit from a $40 million cash package from government. The sector minister, Brian Echampon, who made this known at the launch of a presidential conference on youth in agriculture, noted that the ministry has instituted measures to make the country food self-sufficient in the face of the crisis.
Friends, brothers, and family on the Volta and eastern stretch of the Akosombo Dam's path. We've all witnessed the devastation as a result of the necessary action the VRA had to take to save the Akosombo Dam. As a result, several farmers have been affected. A lot of them have been completely wiped out. I have directed that due to this emergency, $40 million of the World Bank-funded Food Systems Resilience Program be restructured to restore farmers fully whose farms have been wiped out due to the necessary action taken by the VRA to save us all.
President Akufo-Addo said Ghana is heavily depending on the ideas and innovation of the youth to sustain agriculture.
It is important to stress that sustaining Ghana's agriculture depends on the youth. The youth are obviously the future of this country, and we count on their vibrancy, fresh ideas, and innovation to improve our collective fortunes. Agriculture, a major sector of the economy, awaits the participation of the youth, both educated and uneducated.
The Youth in Agriculture program, under the auspices of the sector ministry and the Youth Employment Agency, is to fashion out strategies to encourage and support the youth participate in agriculture.
Let's do some stories on floods now. In classrooms in Mepe have been turned into makeshift homes for flood victims, with each room accommodating 20 people. A temporary tent set up for the victims adds to their discomfort due to its plastic nature, trapping heat. Godwin Asiba chronicles challenging living conditions they endure in the wake of this environmental crisis.
Junior High School in Mepe, where the Akosombo Dam spillage has left a profound impact, affecting numerous homes and residents. A temporary structure has been set up for the victims, but it is heavy with sorrow and sadness etched on the faces of those affected. Children to bear the brunt exposed to mosquito bites at night are shared by the caretakers. The scene paints a vivid picture of the challenges faced by the community in the wake of the environmental crisis. And this is a tent here that has been mounted for most of the victims. And I was here earlier, and the heat in here is something I will describe as unbearable. But let me just have a quick conversation with this man. You have been here in the heat. It's actually not really comfortable to be here, but how are you able to bear with all these challenges?
It's too much to bear, my brother. It's too much to bear. The condition is terrible. You can look at the ground. This is where people sleep. Nothing to sleep on. You just lay your clothes and then you lie down.
There's no bed?
There's no bed. There's no bed. It's that for a person in the family to lay down. The rest, you can see the mat over there. Nothing to sleep on.
So it's literally the plastic material on the ground for people, including children?
Including children. That's true.
So how are you able to cope with all of these?
It's very hard to cope with because to leave your home and come in, it's the way you don't want to belong. That's how it happened.
Whilst walking around, I overheard you having a conversation saying that you were given 1 cup of rice.
True. That's what I've witnessed. I was passing through when the president came and I saw the group of people sharing food items. So I quickly draw my attention to them. I need some. And I learned the people have been grouped. So to what I witnessed, 5 kilos of rice, 2 bags was given to 10 heads to be shared. So according to them, I will only take a cup of rice to be fed on for the whole day with the 2 pieces of how is it called, calipo, and then a bottle of red oil, palm oil. Okay. Yes, palm oil. That's what was I said no, I can take that.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, and you can clearly see that I am sweating. I've been literally here for just a minute, and I can tell you that the heat here is definitely unbearable. These are the only spaces created for ventilation, but I will say that it is not enough because I am actually not really comfortable here. Godwin Asidiba, TV3 News.
We'll stay on the issue of floods, and the Akosombo and Pond Dam spillage is not only wreaking havoc in parts of the Volta and eastern regions, but also threatening food security. Most farming communities and food crops have been submerged in the floods.
Aveime, Akusi, Esuchari and Sugakokwe are communities widely known for the cultivation of rice and maize, but farmers there have lost their crops and farmlands to the flood waters as a result of the Akosombo and Pond Dams spillage. Farmers in communities such as Chevie, Agokpo, Sokwe and Agave in the South Tong district who cultivate vegetables including pepper and ginger and mainly supply to customers in the Greater Accra region have also had their crops and entire farmlands submerged in water. The situation, according to the Peasant Farmers Association, could be dire as there will be shortage of such food crops.
Most of these crops, some of them were even ready for harvesting. But some of them, because they didn't have access to quick equipment like harvesters to harvest, they have to leave it and wait. Others too, because the rains have started earlier, the grounds was not okay for the machines to work there. So they're actually waiting for the grounds to dry up so that the machines can go in and harvest before this catastrophe came. And that's actually very dangerous for our food security.
He called for compensation for affected farmers in the short term and irrigation schemes to harvest such water.
Immediately, the Ministry of Food and Agric needs to develop an emergency response to see how we can augment the food supply. Government should find alternative means to see how other farmers around the country can be supported to ensure that they produce enough to complement or augment what has been lost due to the flooding. But the farmers too also need to be compensated. A lot of them have done a lot of investments for their production. In the long term, we should have a way of putting up irrigation schemes along the water lake, around all the farming communities, so that in instances where the dam needs to be opened, we know that the water is going to a particular reservoir. It can also be used to assist farmers to do their work.
Already, fish farming in the area has been seriously affected, causing fish cages to flood, leading to most escaping into wild waters. The Chamber of Aquaculture has estimated a loss of 48 million cedis.
We'll stay on this issue, and there are increased calls on Parliament to reconvene for an emergency sitting to assist government deal with the heavy flooding of the lower Volta Basin and parts of the Volta Lake. Now, calls are also rife for government to declare a state of emergency in flood-devastated areas.
Many are experiencing a moment they never anticipated but are struggling to come to terms with. Relief items are being mobilized, but the water level keeps rising as the Volta River Authority continues with the spillage. Former President John Mahama, after visiting the flood-affected areas in the lower Volta Basin, is asking government to declare a state of emergency in affected areas. There's also an urgent call on Parliament to act.
Over 26,000 people being displaced. It's quite a lot. I hope we can quickly attend to their needs. As a parliamentarian, I believe that Parliament will reconvene as soon as possible for us to quickly maybe go there to see things out, and also, if possible, see what we can do to help them in difficult times like this. So I think it is important, because waiting for 31st, obviously, there are a lot of people sleeping out. There are a lot of people who have nothing to eat. There are a lot of people who are drinking bad water. So it is important we reconvene as soon as possible to take decision on how we have to support these people. So obviously, an emergency sitting is not out of place.
The Volta Lake upstream and the Afram Plains areas have also suffered significant devastation. The spillage is deemed essential to safeguard the structural integrity of the Akosombo and Pond dams.
The people are suffering. Buildings have collapsed. Communities have, been flooded and all that. So yes, we are already experiencing what is currently happening in the country. Unfortunately, till now we haven't heard anything from NATMO. We haven't heard anything from government of Ghana, and it looks like everything has been left at the doors of the members of Parliament, who are limited.
Now, away from the floods, the Tema Development Company has refuted allegations of the sale of the children's park to private developer for a casino. Residents are threatening to sue city authorities over the matter. Judge Queenin visited the site of the only operational library in the metropolis after residents reported Chinese nationals overseeing civil works on the intended project.
This is a Tema Children's Park situated on a 6.2-acre land right here at Tema Community 5. On it has the only operational library that has several residents for several decades. So this facility is in the news. Why? Because the allegations that it's been sold to a private developer to be developed into a casino. And so I'm here to engage stakeholders, that's resident and the Tema Development Corporation, to ascertain the truth or otherwise of this matter. A visit to the site showed heaps of sand, stones and dug-out land, but no workers. Residents are protesting against the takeover of their land, fearing it would negatively impact their social and educational lives. One of them is 34-year-old freelance teacher, Anansi. Born and raised in Tema, the library has been his primary learning source for the past decade, which he accesses 4 times a week.
It will be very, very bad and unfortunate because, from where I live, transportation costs, trying to traverse from my place to University of Ghana campus, the traffic situation from Tema to Accra.
Amuda Mohammed described the ongoing development as a tragedy, as it would result in the absence of a library.
When I heard it, I said it was not true. The government could not do that. But then, repeatedly, I saw, action being taken.
Concerned residents are committing to seek legal action if all other options are unsuccessful.
There is evidence to show it's been leased. I can share with you. You see the document. Documents don't lie unless TDC is going to manufacture new document. I've been talking for like 3 weeks now. If I was lying, they could have brought counter document to say that I'm lying.
There are plans to organize a demonstration to gather signatories.
By end of November, I'll go to court. And I'm going to sue TMA, I'm going to sue TDC, and I'll sue Tema West. I'm a citizen, and it's my right.
In 2013, the park was subleased to the Tema Metropolitan Assembly by the then mayor, Kempis Ofosuware, for its modern recreational center development. But the Tema Development Company has refuted the allegations regarding the sale of the park to a private developer.
The land ownership is with TMA. It's not been given to any private developer. There is no change of variation or change of usage to that effect.
The protocol officer indicated that all documents confirm that the park is properly designated for its intended purpose.
What we have on record is a sublease to TMA. TMA intends to have a joint venture with a private developer in order for them to do it as a joint venture. That is what we know.
For now, residents expect to be informed about the development process. Judge Queenin,
TV3 News, Tema.
On to some more stories. The Ghana Bar Association is urging President Akufo-Addo to uphold his commitments to preventing corruption within his administration. Now, making reference to his comments charging persons seeking wealth in his government to rather move to the private sector, the association noted that recent corruption reports contradicts his intentions.
The Ghana Bar Association, GBA, presented its resolutions from the annual bar conference at a media briefing. A wide range of issues were highlighted.
I've said it, and I'll repeat it again. Those who are coming to this administration thinking that it's an avenue for making a lot of money are going to be disappointed. They better go to the private sector. That is where people make money, not in government.
The president was taken to task on his promise to fight corruption.
If your goal in coming to government is to enrich yourself, then don't come. Go to the private sector. Public service is going to be exactly that, public service. This undertaking gave hope to Ghanaians of the emergence of a new dawn of politics. However, it is our view that the several corruption-related incidents involving some of the political appointees and also amongst some public officers under the current administration and the largely lethargic manner with which they are dealt with and defended and protected leaves a lot to be desired.
The GBA president called on his partisan colleagues to desist from attacking the judiciary and the legal profession.
Our partisan colleagues give active encouragement and support for political hawks to insult and denigrate the leadership of the bar and judiciary. When such partisan hawks are encouraged by overtly partisan members of the GBA to insult the leadership of the GBA, it's not the leadership in office at a particular time that suffers. The image of the GBA gets smeared and its reputation lowered. Just as we are also clear, let me state unequivocally that the GBA under my administration is not an appendage of any political party.
The GBA further called for increased support for victims of the dam spillage in the lower Volta Basin.
The GBA urges all Ghanaians to support the efforts to rescue and resettle all affected persons. And accordingly, we're making a direct appeal to all our members to donate in cash and in kind to assist the relief efforts.
The Ghana Bar Association says this is an age-old tradition that they seek to resuscitate. That is, meeting the press and discussing the critical issues out of their resolutions after every bar conference. Duke Poku, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, away from that, the executive director of the National Cathedral Project, Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah, says the National Cathedral Project has been implemented with integrity. A statement responding to issues raised by the Archbishop Duncan Williams and Reverend Esud Anaba said several meetings took place during the aftermath of the call for the audit. Now, anti-corruption crusader Edimson Anu says the National Cathedral Project, the Secretariat of the National Cathedral, attempted explanation to distance itself from the resignation of Duncan Williams and Esud Anaba, and that is damage control gone wrong. Speaking to TV3, the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption says the credibility of the project is undermined following the resignation of the two clergymen.
Have done a better job of stakeholder management. I note that the original resolution or petition came in January. They began to engage in Deloitte and Touche in March. It took up to May, I think, for Deloitte and Touche to start the audit process. We are in October. So May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 months. I think there's a sense that the Secretariat let the ball drop in terms of giving direct information to their stakeholders, especially if you noted that these board members had not participated in some board meetings. There are certain things you probably want to highlight for their attention. And so the damage control will only leave a sour taste in everybody's mouth, and it still doesn't really add any credibility to the entire initiative.
Now, on the international front, with almost all votes counted in Liberia's election, President George Weah and his main rival, Joseph Boakai, are still running neck and neck, meaning they're set for a runoff. Weah currently has 43.8% of the vote, with Boakai on 43.5%, provisional results have shown. Now, a candidate needs more than 50% of the vote to be declared the winner. The 10th October election was Liberia's closest presidential race since a civil war ended 2 decades ago. Now, the Election Commission released the latest results after votes had been counted in more than 98% of polling stations, giving Weah a slim lead of 5,456 votes. And that's all for the 6 a.m. news here on TV3. My name is Judith Brown. We'll take a break and we'll be back with the rest of New Day.
In a world where every moment counts, one team stands ready to deliver the news that shapes our lives. A team driven by truth, integrity, and unwavering dedication. They travel to the front lines in the tireless pursuit of truth to bring you the world's stories like never before. Get ready to witness the stories that matter. We have the most trusted voices in journalism who are committed to delivering accurate, balanced, and thought-provoking news.